Hello, everyone. This is Kris with Bin Chicken's Vinyl Fair 2 Electric Boogaloo, another edition of the Bin Chickens podcast. And joining me tonight for the discussion is Bevin with ZMF Headphones. Bevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kris. It's good to be on. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. No problem. Why don't you go ahead and just start by explaining what ZMF Headphones is and how it came to be, and anything you feel like telling us about your company.
Sure. So ZMF Headphones were a small family-owned sort of bespoke headphone shop based in the greater Chicagoland area. We make custom wooden headphones from all high-quality materials of wood, leather, and metals. My husband started modding the T50RP, which is a very common modder headphone back in 2010, and the company just sort of grew from there. He moved on to wanting to create his own proprietary parts, learn about machining, learn about owning and running a business, and we've come so far from then to sort of be doing our own thing and be a bona fide company making our own product.
Very cool. Very cool. So am I to take it that either he or the both of you are audiophiles?
So he is definitely an audiophile. It's almost kind of a curse to be an audiophile and then running an audiophile company, because he can just be like, oh, I think I need more of these for research. And I'm like, you absolutely don't. You just want more tubes for your tube amps. I myself was not what I would consider an audiophile. I was kind of the partner in the relationship who was like, you have so much gear, man. But since, it was his hobby, I tried to investigate it and get into it. And I too have sort of gotten bitten by the bug and would now consider myself a bit of an audiophile.
Very cool. You say that you are based in the greater Chicagoland area. Are you guys both from Chicago originally?
No, actually, Zach is from New Hampshire and I am from Connecticut.
Okay. How did he's an audiophile, so was he ever in a band, or like I'm assuming he obviously loves music to some degree. So did that start from being in a band or working at a record store or something?
Oh yeah, that's a really good connection. Okay, so our headphones are wooden, and Zach started playing guitar when he was like very, very young. He was super into blues music, finger picking. He lived up in New Hampshire right outside of like Dartmouth College. So he went to all these, if a great blues musician would come in and set up shop at Dartmouth, Zach would go and would learn how to play guitar from these people. He was super into it, started building his own guitars. So that was the initial interest was, he found luthiers that he wanted to study with and learn the art of crafting a guitar out of wood. Flash forward, we end up in Chicago together. It's really difficult to build a guitar inside an apartment. So Zach's love of music sort of transitions to headphones, and his desire to sort of build and figure things out. He's like, wood is so interesting as a housing for a guitar and the resonances and the way that it affects the sound. And he started experimenting with using wood as a headphone enclosure, and the different densities of wood and how that sort of affects sound. So it was being a guitar player and that connection with music that led him to becoming a wooden headphone builder.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Does he build all of these himself?
No, we actually have an awesome team now. There are about 5 of us. And he has sort of trained the guys we've brought on in his methods of headphone building. So we've got a great little crew, and they all work together really well to, create a standard operating procedure and make each headphone to spec.
Very nice. I'm assuming you enjoy these headphones yourself personally. I'm assuming you've got a pair.
I do. Yeah. Since I sort of started listening to really good gear, it got very hard to put, off the shelf earbuds into my ears and be satisfied. So I
Sure.
definitely I'm a headphone snob now.
Yeah, it would definitely be hard to go back once you've experienced the creme de la creme of the headphones.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so are all the like where do you guys get the wood from? Like I'm just kind of trying to wrap my head around this because I guess I'm not an audiophile per se. I love music. I'm a DJ by trade, so I've been listening to music for a long time, and I've always had 100 different pairs of headphones, but never really knew the differences between any of them other than just by trying them out and thinking, okay, this one sounds good. Okay, this one doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I've never had wooden headphones. So what's the like? I mean, it sounds like I believe you when you say that they sound amazing. I just haven't had the experience to really check them out yet. Um, how would they compare to like headphones that people would buy like in a Best Buy, like $200 headphones? Are these ones just that much better?
Um, I would say yes, but I'm also, really indoctrinated into this world of headphones. If you're not, it's kind of hard to see like why would someone spend so much money on headphones when you're just using them in a functional way, but if you're really using them to experience a quality recording on a set of headphones that presents the best of that recording, you absolutely can hear a difference if you're sitting and intending to use them for that purpose. The different wood densities, as I was saying, like add to sort of the reflection, the reverberations in the cup and how they're damped. So you're going to get like a more immediate sound with a really dense wood, and like a softer wood, the air will sort of flow out a little more gently than being like an immediate response to you as the listener. So the wood does play a great effect. My husband always says it's not, he encourages people to choose headphones based on their aesthetic preference with the wood because you would really have to sit in A/B, like go back and forth between a soft wood and a really dense wood to be like, oh, I hear such an extreme difference. But there is a difference.
Okay, okay. Where do you guys get the wood from? Is like are your materials sourced out of Chicago or somewhere like from all over the place? Does it change?
Yeah, it changes. We found a lot of great partners along the way just from sort of reaching out, like how we met you guys. You just kind of meet someone, you reach out, you're like, oh, I see what you're doing. I think it's cool. We've found like we somehow got in contact with some guy in Hawaii who thought what we were doing was really cool. And he was like, oh, I'm just going to find interesting woods to you and send them to you. And, that was a exciting connection. Sometimes we go up to a wood shop in Northern Illinois and just look at the planks ourselves and decide, because each wood plank can be more vanilla or more exciting. You want to look for something with like really cool figure in it. So, we've sourced these different places. And for me, the most fulfilling thing is to go and actually pick out the boards ourselves.
Very nice. So you said you guys started in 2010? Is that around there?
2010 was when Zach first started taking apart headphones on our kitchen table. And there was just like headphone guts everywhere, screwed headphone guts, a soldering pot. I was like, all right, we can eat at the coffee table for life. This is what's going on.
Since that first kind of his first like prototype, his first headphone that came off the assembly line of the kitchen table. Do you guys still have one of those and how much have you guys kind of improved your craft in the 9 years since?
Oh my gosh. I saw one of our first headphones. Somebody brought it up to us in a meet once, and I was like, wow, look at how far we've come. Because it was spray painted, and there were like globs where the spray paint had kind of dripped and bubbled. We have come so far. Just in terms of, I mean, to manufacture something, not just like create one every once in a while, but we've had to learn a lot about inventory ordering and how to, make a quality controlled checklist so that your results are repeatable.
Sure.
It's been such a crazy journey, and looking back at those first mods, there was a lot of heart and soul in them, but I really think the stuff that our guys are making today is it's so beautiful. It's like glass finish on wood, with like beautifully carved metals. Yeah, we don't have any of the first units. I'm not even sure like where in the world they are, but be neat to see one again.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at your website, is it ZMFheadphones.com? Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Looking at some of the different models, what's the top of the line one? Like what sets that apart from even your other models that you offer? Is it just that an audiophile can actually pick up a distinct difference even among these super high class headphones?
Yeah, so they all use different drivers, and the different drivers have really different qualities to them. There's a biocellulose, a TPE, and a beryllium driver, and each one of those has an open and closed headphone built around it. And those materials are basically, like, if we're going to boil them down, metal, plastic, and like paper for biocellulose. So they all have different like inherent qualities. And audiophiles, I think, are really versed in what type of driver they like. Like there are people who come up to our table at a show and say, do you have any planar magnetic drivers? To which I will say, oh no, I'm sorry, we only make dynamic. And they're just like, peace out, that's what I like. So yeah, they all do different things well. And we try to create, instead of top of the line and having like a descending or ascending line of products, we just try to make each one sort of different to the best of that driver's inherent qualities.
Okay. I'm going to have some questions that are probably going to be pretty ignorant because I'm pretty generally ignorant about, headphones. I've been using them a lot, like I said, for a long time, but I can only tell by like, oh, these ones sound good, these ones don't. As far as sound like bleeding out, it looks like all these are over ear headphones.
Yeah, yep, correct.
So is that like pretty much like eliminate like the sound bleeding out? And I'm thinking because like years ago I was on the metro train and I was blasting my headphones in the morning and some curmudgeon in the seat behind me like was angrily tapping me on the shoulder to turn my music down because the sound was bleeding out. And those weren't particularly great headphones, so I'm sure that the sound was bleeding out. But I'm just wondering with these, I'm assuming that or I would think that it really is able to maintain the sound remaining completely inside the headspace.
Yeah, so we have two types of headphones. We have the closed back, which isolate really, really well. Somebody can be listening to them right next to you and you don't hear what they're listening to. And then we have some that are called open back. And if you look at our headphones, those are ones with the metal grills on them. And those actually do let the venting with the airflow design, they do let sound out, because it increases something that the audiophiles refer to as soundstage, where you get this sort of like massive, you feel like instead of listening to a concert that's like right in front of you, you get a more vast experience. Like you're feeling like you're hearing music from all around, a more wide, expansive feel. Yeah. So those you can't really listen like next to your sleeping partner or something like that.
Right. How did you guys know how to make headphones? It just seems like such a crazy process to even start to come up with. So how did you guys were you guys completely self-taught or?
Yeah, so I think Zach just has like sort of that personality quality or trait where he just wants to understand things. He didn't go to school for engineering. He did get a master's at Columbia in filmmaking, film directing. So he had a lot of like techie experience, but he wasn't a trained engineer per se. And for him, it was just tinkering, being really persistent. He reached out to a lot of other manufacturers in the trade who, like, we've had such great mentors who were just really willing to, share and teach. And I think the bulk of it was just, there is a community of people who call themselves modders, and they're the people who are taking things apart and putting them back together and kind of going through the scientific process in that way versus, a trained school education. So that's where he taught himself. He's also, like, obviously read a lot, that sort of thing after the fact, but it was like a very much hands-on approach.
It's pretty impressive. This is probably going to be one of those stupid questions. I'm imagining that these types of headphones are not, like, you're not going to be able to have like Bluetooth versions of your headphones, I'm assuming.
We don't currently offer that. It is something that we may look into at some point, but I think our company has been pretty rooted in just sort of old school, like, put your feet up, intentionally listen to music on your nice system and enjoy, versus the sort of on the go portable solution.
And I totally dig that vibe. I still buy and spin vinyl records, so I totally get the the old school appeal, and I'm definitely into that. Where's your biggest market? Is Chicago your biggest market? Are you guys like everywhere here, or?
Yeah, well, it's been pretty crazy. We were like, Zach was selling headphones on eBay when he first started out, and we'd get really excited when he sold like one every once in a while. And now we have dealers kind of all over the world. I wouldn't say there's a place where it's like our biggest market. We go to shows in London and Singapore. There's some pretty big headphone enthusiasts there, but I couldn't point to like one single place where we have a crowd. We do have a lot of hometown love here in Chicago, though, for sure.
That's cool. That's cool that you guys are a global presence. That's super impressive. So congrats on that.
Thank you. It's been bananas. I mean, you don't think it's gonna happen, and then it's very exciting.
So is there a medium that these headphones like carry the sound like most consistently best? Like, as far as like if you're listening to vinyl versus CDs versus, I'm assuming like any sort of digital files just by their nature are not going to sound as good, but does this really just enhance the quality of one medium over the other?
I don't think particularly. I mean, I've listened to lots of different mediums through the headphones and think they're all pretty great sounding. In terms of like amplification, Zach really likes how our headphones sound with a tube amp. But yeah, no, I haven't in that realm found anything where I don't think they work well.
Okay. Do you have favorite bands? Favorite bands or favorite art? They don't have to be bands. They could be any sort of obviously musical artist. But do you have like a top 5 of artists that you personally just enjoy, and have you listened to their work through these headphones, and has it made it even more amazing than you've always felt them to be?
Yeah, I definitely have test tracks. Like when we're prototyping a headphone, there are songs that I just like know so well. Like you're probably the same way, where you have like records where if you're trying out a system, you're like, I'm gonna play this record because I know how I want it to sound.
Yeah.
I definitely have tracks like that. Like Fiona Apple has always been one of my favorite artists. I really, really like, let's see, the Pixies. Like if we ever had a child, I wanted to name her Surfer Rosa.
Right.
Let's see. I don't know. They're just classics. Like Paul Simon, I think, is pretty impressive with his body of work. Oh man, I listen to a lot of hip hop.
Okay.
I really, really like our headphones are kind of known for being a little warmer, which means like a little more bass presence.
Okay.
So I'll like throw on some Wu-Tang Clan and make sure it's hitting hard.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I run the gamut. I'm also like a 90s child, so anything from the 90s, I'm just all about it.
So, a couple of things. One, I just saw this earlier today. I think Fiona Apple, like I saw a headline that Fiona Apple's returning to the studio for the first time in like 7 years or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
So get excited about that.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing is uh there's definitely tracks that I like to listen to when I'm testing out like I hate having to buy new headphones because again, I don't know what I'm looking for and I just like I'll go to the store and be like, if they don't have them on display to like listen to, I don't know what to say what I'm looking for. I just know that if I put them on and if the bass on, you're mentioning specific tracks. There's a track by NWA, the remix of Dope Man, where it's like the bass comes in like 2 minutes in and it's like I've had some headphones where it's like I've almost thought like, are these broken? Like I'm not even getting any bass at all. Like there's supposed to be some bass here. So it's good to hear that these definitely bring the bass. That's
Yeah.
good.
What are your test tracks? Like NWA, obviously, but what else do you put on when you're trying to hear how a system checks out?
You know, so I'm definitely biased for my favorite groups. So Rage Against the Machine is my all-time favorite band, and and their bass uh, their bass and drum portion of their music was always really solid and tight. So I know that if I'm playing a Rage song, basically any of their tracks, I'm going to be able to tell really quickly if the system or the turntable or the headphones or whatever I'm checking out is up to snuff for that. Um, and also just a lot of just general electronic music, a lot of techno music because it does have a lot of the bass elements that I like.
Hmm.
So it's pretty much any Chemical Brothers track, which are another one of my favorites, or pretty much any house song. I want to be able to hear the beats. I want to hear them well. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much my test.
Nice.
You said something else at the end of that after you were talking about Wu-Tang. What else did you say? I can't even remember. Do you remember?
I don't. Sorry. I was like, I'm gonna ask you a question now.
No, you said something and I was like, oh, I'm gonna follow up on that because I thought of something. Oh, I'm sorry, this is annoying me because I can't think of it, but it was like super relevant.
About Fiona's comeback. We talked about the bass hitting hard. That our headphones are sort of considered slightly warmer headphones, maybe.
Yeah, I think you said something like right after that. Oh man, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna be frustrated. Um, but it was leading into something that was like upcoming or something else. It was just like the Fiona Apple thing was like, oh, then this, and it was like a segue. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking out loud right now. Um, okay, so ZMF is having a festival, correct?
We are, yeah. It
And it's called
is.
ZMF Festivus.
It's called ZMF Festivus. It's our second. We had one last year that was a really fun time. Doing it again this year. Bin Chickens will be there, right?
Yeah, yep, yeah. We're gonna be there, and I was looking at because I found the info about ZM Festivus on uh, headfi.org. It was a thread.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was reading about it and I was like, holy shit, I'm actually kind of stoked about doing this because I had no idea just from the name, like what it was. I know you guys made headphones, but like I'm in the process of moving right now. So like all my energy and time has been like devoted to that. So like I hadn't gotten a chance to look into that. But when I was looking into it, I was like, holy shit, this event sounds awesome. I'm stoked about it. I was thinking about actually, and I guess I wanted to make sure that this was okay with you. Um, I wanted to bring like a small mixer and a turntable because we're gonna try to sell some records there. I'm not gonna have speakers, so I won't be like playing out anywhere. People could just listen to things on headphones, I guess, if they wanted to check it out. But is that cool? Is that something I can do?
Oh yeah, for sure. We have another friend of ours who's coming and bringing their turntable setup with headphones. 100%. Yeah.
Very cool. And it's at Fort Knox Studios, which I have not been to, but it looks amazing.
It's crazy. I was shocked that I wasn't aware of this place because it seems so prominent. First of all, it's like, I don't know, you feel like you're on a lot in LA or something. It's just this like massive building that keeps going. And there are practice rooms for bands everywhere, like a bajillion of them. And then we're going to be in this room called the Hangar, which is like a 7,200 square foot soundstage.
Yeah.
It's a super creative music environment. Very cool. I don't know. I had never heard of it, but now I know about it, and I'll never be the same.
So so you guys just had your first one that was last December, I think?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So and it looks like from what I was reading, people were commenting about what a great event it was. So what can attendees expect to encounter there?
Sure. So we set up a whole bunch of tables, grab a whole bunch of chairs, and it's for attendees to, if you'd like, bring your home setup, bring your amp, your DAC, your headphones, and you plop them down on a table and you plug them in and you let others try it out, and then you can kind of circulate through the room, and maybe you've been thinking about adding a piece of gear to your system, but it's kind of a risk to buy it before you try it or talk to someone who owns it. So it's a really cool space for if you're in the audio scene and you like your gear and you like trying out new stuff, to kind of just circulate and meet others who are interested in the same thing and who will let you try what they're into and explain, what they think the merits are, and, vice versa. So it's just a really good place to learn and meet others of like mind.
Are these going to include table sellers?
Let's see. Mostly no, I think. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who's selling turntables. Mostly headphone amplifiers, DACs, over-ear headphones, IEMs, which are like the little in-ear earbuds. Yeah. But I don't think there are any turntables for sale.
Okay. And that's just the turntable fetishist in me just asking, because I've got 4 turntables, and like I just always like looking at them, and I just want to buy more, even though I obviously don't need more than I mean 4 is already like too many for a lot of DJs. So I a couple years ago, I was looking at and I forget the name of the company, but it was some sort of Kickstarter campaign. They manufactured a turntable that plays the records vertically, like it's
Whoa.
vertical. It looks aesthetically, it looks so fucking badass, and I was like, I fucking need this turntable. And a friend of mine was like, you don't even have all 4 that you currently own plugged in, so like you really don't need this turntable. And I was like, you're right, save me some money. I did recall what you had said that made me think about something else. You said you were a 90s child.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So this past weekend, I went to Holiday Club. I don't know if you've been there.
I used to live right by there on Sheridan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Red Line, Sheridan, shout out.
Yeah. What's up, Sheridan Red Line stop? So they were having like a 90s night in the back room, like where the DJ's at. So I went there with a couple friends and my girlfriend, and I had to stop myself from going up to the DJ several times because he was playing a lot of 90s stuff, but then like he would throw in something that was like, and maybe this is being real nitpicky, but he would play like a song that came out in 2000, and I'm like, it's not 90s. Then he was playing like Sean Paul from like 2002, and I'm like, this is so not fucking 90s. Like, I mean, I like the songs, but like, can we stick to the theme here? So, but it was nice to hear some 90s jams, like Jump Around by House of Pain was a very popular one. There was a lot of jumping that was going on, as you can imagine.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that's really the only dance move required for that one.
if you have no dance moves whatsoever, you can still participate when Jump Around comes on.
That's right. The Macarena might require some training.
That's a little more advanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for the faint of heart. I wanted to ask you, so you told me some of your musical likes and genres that you like. Do those overlap with your husband's a lot? Are you guys on completely different worlds as far as music goes, or is there a lot of overlap? How does that work?
Totally different worlds. He grew up, so speaking of the 90s, he grew up without television.
Oh, wow.
In New Hampshire, like in farmland, which is also something I like trace to his headphone building, because he would just listen to like baseball games on the radio. So he was like totally a purely auditory dude growing up, without like a visual component. So I think he just like really trained his ears. But he would listen to whatever his dad listened to, because he didn't have TV, so he didn't really have exposure to like MTV or anything like that. And he got really into, like, his dad was into blues music, so he like loved all these like really old amazing blues musicians that I didn't have exposure to because I was totally plugged into MTV. So he likes that, and he's really into bluegrass as well. My dad got him into that. My dad's a musician, a professional musician, and when we met each other like 15 plus years ago now, my dad, he had been playing guitar. My dad taught him how to play banjo and mandolin, and that then he sort of got bit by the bluegrass bug. So those are the two genres that he really likes, like the old timey stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I'm just, I try to dance, or like I just like something that like gets you moving a little more.
Sure.
He likes the stuff where people are just talking about how hard life is and the railroad trains, and I don't know.
What was I just thought of something else too. So when he's testing out his latest model of headphones, he's putting on bluegrass instead of NWA or, some of the hip hop that you might be using to test out things.
Yeah, there's some newer music that he likes. Like I've sort of transitioned him into like, he likes like Thievery Corporation or Bonobo, like some of the DJ kind of ambient stuff.
Sure.
But so he'll use some of that, but then he'll also use like straight up me and my horses playing some bluegrass. And he's, it's really nice to hear how the instrumentation comes through on that, because you're hearing like finger picked acoustic guitar, which if you hear it reproduced and you're not hearing like the sound of a finger hitting a fretboard, you can tell that maybe you're missing some of the clarity or whatever you're trying to achieve with your headphone tuning.
Yeah. And I'm just spitballing here. Has he ever heard of a band called Meg and Jean and the Clay Family Band?
I don't know. I'll have to run that one by him. Megan, Jean, and the Clay Family Band.
Yeah, they're pretty. And I am super ignorant of bluegrass and like Americana music and like folk, like all these genres that I like know nothing about. So I don't even want to describe that band using a genre label because I'm not even sure that it'll be correct. But I think that maybe they would be up his alley, but I'm putting a disclaimer that they could be completely off. So don't quote me on it.
Well, and the family band sounds like it's heading in the right direction. I'll run it by for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you. This is going to be completely unrelated to music, but yeah, I'm thinking about it. How do you feel about White Claw? Do you care? Have you had it? Are you crazy about it? Do you hate it?
I love the memes. Let's keep those coming. But I have not myself tried it at all. I don't love seltzer. And like if I go to a bar, I'm not going to order like a vodka tonic. I'm going to go for a beer. If they sponsor your podcast, then I think it's great. But yeah, I don't know.
They
I like
they
beer.
they do not sponsor the podcast. When I was at the that 90s night, one of my friends, I was buying the first round. I was like, what do you want to drink? And she's like, I'm gonna have a White Claw. And I'm like, oh my God, are we there? Or is that what we're doing? Are we ordering White Claws now? Um, but yeah, definitely I'm definitely a beer drinker. Are you a beer snob? You're a headphone snob, which I understand, but are you a beer snob, which is okay. I just want to know.
I'm not a beer snob, but so we do this audio show in Denver every year, and Denver has a pretty robust beer scene. And what I experienced there for the first time was sour beers. Have you ever tried those?
I have had some sour beers actually.
So I'm really into those right now, and I'm not a snob. I'll drink whatever. I'll have a Busch Light, but I do really like sour beers.
Are those because I haven't had enough to really know. I know that the few I had, I was like, this is pretty good. Um, because I hate IPAs. I can't fucking stand IPAs. Um, but are sour beers like saisons at all? Or is that a completely different type of beer? Do you know?
I'm not sure. So I
Yeah.
think I'm definitely not a beer snob. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah, because if you were, you would have you'd be chastising me about, even comparing the two because of all the differences in hops and whatever the fuck the difference is. So,
Yeah. When you asked me if I drink White Claw, was that a test? Does White Claw
um,
have a connotation?
well, you know what? Well, first of all, you are correct in that the memes are fucking great. So like, let's keep those coming because those are definitely fun. I guess it wasn't a test intentionally. I'm just trying to gauge like where you're coming from on certain things, and nothing against people who like love White Claw. I just feel like it's super trendy right now, and so I'm kind of waiting for it to die down and people can like get back to drinking normal things. But that's probably just because I'm old school and this is like a new thing, and I just don't get it. I've had some White Claw and I've enjoyed it, but I've also enjoyed every alcoholic drink I've ever consumed, so it's not really a good test.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough qualifier. Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe it might be like the Mike's Hard Lemonade of the 2019s.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
I think
like
that's
kind of the
I think
girly fruity drink.
yeah, I think that's a good comparison. And I'm recalling that when I first started drinking decades ago, I'm not trying to give away my age, but I am old as fuck. Um, Mike's Hard Lemonade was like the first because I didn't drink beer at first, but Mike's Hard Lemonade was like I thought like that was like a safe thing to like start with because it's like lemonade and that can't be too bad. And I liked it. And then I had, beers and I was like, oh, I'm wasting my time with the hard lemonade. Beer's much better. But
Beer is much better. The hard lemonade is a good way to get your foot in the door. And then, yeah,
yeah, it's like training wheels. It's like drinking training wheels.
absolutely. So the youth of today needs the White Claw.
They they really do. I'll stop hating on all the White Claw drinkers. But I'll also be glad when they all go away. No, I'm actually much more likely to judge you on your musical tastes. So you've actually done pretty well so far. Do you have Netflix? Have you heard of that show called Hip Hop Evolution?
I have not heard of Hip Hop Evolution, and I do have Netflix.
It's a soup. It's only the third season just got released, but it's only like 4 episodes each season, so it's like 12 episodes. You're caught up in the whole series, and it's like I think they're like 45 to 50 minutes each, I want to say. But it's just like it's a docu series, and the guy just loves hip hop and just set out to kind of tell the story of the evolution of hip hop from its beginnings, and you learn a lot of really cool shit. So if you do like hip hop and you're ever just looking to kill some time and learn some cool things about hip hop, I think that's a super accessible series, and I definitely give it a high recommendation.
Nice. I will check that out. I've been watching the same show over and over again on Netflix, so.
What is that show?
I've been watching a lot of Arrested Development these days just because I feel like I've been like working really hard during the day and then I just need something familiar to just like watch before I go to bed. And my husband makes fun of me. He's like, "You've seen this so many times." I'm like, "Exactly." It just it will put me to sleep. Um, so thanks for the recommendation.
Oh, you're welcome. Julie's going to enjoy hearing that you're into Arrested Development because she loves that show.
Oh, nice. Is Julie in the room? Is she with you?
Oh no, Julie actually. This is this is a little known fact. Julie can't fucking stand me. So,
Oh God.
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. She can stand me just fine. But no, she is not here now. But she will be listening to this. You better be listening to this, Julie, once it gets posted.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Confirm to me via email that you heard this. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but seriously, do confirm via email, Julie. Otherwise, we'll know you didn't listen, you liar.
Totally.
So what type of movies do you like? I'm sorry, I gotta confess something. I don't know if you've seen the movie High Fidelity.
Is that the one with John Cusack from like a long time ago?
Well,
About
it is the one. It is the one with John Cusack from 2000. It came out. So yeah, I guess it's a long time ago. It's a long time.
Yes, I saw that a while ago and I remember enjoying it. And is it set in Chicago, like in a Chicago record store?
Oh, it's totally it's set in Chicago as fuck, and it was a book that was set in some British. I don't know if it was London, but it was definitely somewhere in the UK that it was set. So then when they made it into a movie, they changed the setting to Chicago. And obviously, I love Chicago. Chicago's a beautiful town, and like it's such a Chicago movie. It's so much fun to watch. So you should check it out again if it's been a while since you've seen it.
I will. You know what one of my favorite music related movies is from the 90s, Empire Records. I was like obsessed with that movie. I watched
That's
that
a
a whole bunch.
that's a really good movie. A really great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite lines?
Um, well, I like Damn the Man, Save the Empire. Um, and like anything that Kid Warren says when his like voice is squeaking and he just wants to work there. He just wants to be the cool kid who works at the record store.
Yeah, Warren had a lot of great one-liners. He was definitely a great character to have in the movie.
What's with today? That's like
Yeah, yeah. And when he's trying to pick up the quarters that somebody glued to the floor.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you've got some pretty good taste overall. Um, but the reason why I brought up High Fidelity was because they're always talking about things, John Cusack and Jack Black and the guy who plays the other guy who works in the record store. They're always talking about like top five lists, top five records, top five first tracks on a record, top five whatever. So I tend to think of things a lot in terms of listing. Um, so yeah, like top five movies is something that I like. I really will judge somebody on what they would say their top five movies are. So you wanna throw any out there if you know?
Yes.
And they don't have to be you don't have to order them from one to five. It's just if you don't have a top five, if you have movies that you know would be in the discussion,
Mm-hmm.
that would be fun.
Okay. Well, first I'd like to let your listeners know that I did not have a heads up on this top five. So if I picked anything that's lame, it's because I couldn't obsessively think it through first. Um, I really, really love the movie The Squid and the Whale by Noah Baumbach. I don't know if anybody's seen that.
I've never even heard of it. What is this about?
Oh
Tell
man.
me it's about a squid and a whale.
No, The Squid and the Whale is the metaphor of these two like parents who are both sort of narcissists that are it's like Laura, what's her name? Laura Linney maybe, and Jeff.
Oh, I love Laura Linney.
Yeah, she's great. She's like the writer mom from New York, and her husband is also a powerful writer in New York, and they are both like very self-absorbed, and they have these children that are growing up with them in Brooklyn, and it's just sort of like a snapshot of how the kids exist in this family system with these two parents that are like so consumed with themselves. And The Squid and the Whale is the installation at the museum that like is a metaphor for the whole family system and what's going on. It's really good. You should check it out.
Is it a drama?
It is a drama, but it's also funny as hell. Like there are some really good one-liners in there that I love.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. I'm writing it down on my little list here. I don't know if anything will ever come of that, but I'm definitely writing it down at least.
Yeah, I love that one. This one, maybe have become a cliche over time, but I really liked Garden State, and for like a long time, I felt like I was in like a Garden State time of life. The Zach Braff film with a decent soundtrack.
That's another. Now I've definitely heard of Garden State. I've actually just never seen it, so I don't even know what it's about.
Oh man, it's just like a guy in his mid 30s having a crisis, maybe.
Okay.
Like pretty relatable. Not, just like the stupid, like, oh, what do I want? What is life about? Like the sort of existential woes we all have in our 30s.
Yeah.
And it's got a pretty good soundtrack. The Breakfast Club. I watched that movie so many times.
That's a classic for sure.
It is. I'm a huge John Hughes fan, and I kind of want to say Home Alone because I watch that film like every Christmas, obviously, but I don't know. It's like a very special film to me and my brother, because we can just like recite the movie.
What? Okay, so if you can recite the movie Home Alone, what is the one condition? Or no, what is the condition that Buzz tells Kevin he wouldn't even let him sleep in his room if then this condition?
You are growing on my ass. Right?
That is exactly right. It's such a good line.
Buzz, your girl. Oh, that's not a nice line, but yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like blanking. What do I like? What do I like? I don't know. What do you like? Can I flip it to you for a minute and then think a bit?
Yeah, you can. Because I kind of revise my list a lot. But it's really just like revising who's slotting in at that fourth or fifth spot out of like the top 10. But High Fidelity actually would definitely be in my top 5. The original Night of the Living Dead, the black and white Night of the Living Dead. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No.
Oh, it's such a good zombie movie. Scarface with Al Pacino.
Nice.
Have you seen Scarface?
A long time ago.
You need to watch it again. Julie hadn't seen it. Okay, so Julie and I have this thing where we make each other watch movies that the other person hasn't seen and never would see on their own unless we entered into this pact with each other to just make each other watch a movie. So I made her watch Scarface for the first time because she had never seen it, and she hates violence, so she didn't really like it a lot because it's very violent. And she made me watch Titanic, which I'd never seen Titanic. So Titanic was actually pretty good.
It was decent. It was a long movie, but Rose had a little room on that door, don't you think?
The eternal debate on why Rose was such a jerk. She condemned Jack to an icy tomb.
I mean, honestly, they could have had her floating on like anything else with not a lot of room, and I would have been like, okay, I get it. But that was a critical flaw for me.
See, I thought that like he tried like getting on it at one point, and then like I thought his weight was like the combined weight was like he had room like surface area wise, but I thought that it was like his weight was pushing the door like below the surface of the water. That's what I thought it was, but I'd have to watch it again to really know for sure.
Maybe.
We can just assume that Rose was just an asshole.
That's how it felt coming away for me. I was like, I have lost all empathy for this character.
Oh, and this is a Boondock Saints. Have you ever heard of Boondock Saints?
I really love that movie. I always say like the "Where you going nowhere" line.
Oh, the Detective Greenlee when he's like, "Where you going? Nowhere."
Yeah, that's very handy in some situations of life when you've just like, started to fly or I don't know.
What an obscure line to quote. I'm very impressed by your ability to quote that obscure line.
I did like that movie a lot, and I watched it a lot of times at one period of my life.
Yeah. Did you like the sequel?
I didn't watch the sequel. Am I missing out?
For one thing, it was released 11 years after the first one. and that always, I think, tends to hurt certain franchises more than help them. And I liked the second one, but it definitely wasn't as good as the first one. But there's a lot of people who saw the second one who were just like, it is a waste of time. So I would tell you to watch it, but a lot of other people would probably be like, don't waste your time.
Maybe for my own education. Yeah, there are a lot of like classic movies that I just haven't seen. Like this is a horrible omission that might make people angry because it often does, but I haven't seen any Star Wars films. I haven't seen Top Gun. Like they're just
Oh, Julie is going to be gnashing her teeth right now. Top Gun is one of her favorite fucking movies for sure.
Is it really? Yeah, people get like very angry at me when I say these things.
Julie and I and some friends were hanging out several years back, and somehow the topic of Top Gun came up, and one of our friends was like, I've never seen Top Gun. And Julie was like the rest of the night's plans were canceled. She's like, we are doing nothing right now. We are putting in Top Gun immediately, and you're going to watch it. And we did. And good times were had by all. And the person who had never seen it was like, this is a fun movie. So, I mean, you should definitely check it out. And now they're coming out with a sequel. Like, this is 30 plus years on from the original coming out. They're coming out with a sequel with Tom Cruise. So I'm not sure when it comes out, but you should watch the first one first.
I will. Hear that, Julie? I will.
The Star Wars movies. I've heard of your type though. I've heard of people who have not watched any of them, and I can't say that I blame them because it seems like such a big mythos to even like start. Like you can't just really like dip your toe in it, like because the whole like legendary status of the first trilogy is like so much so that like it almost seems like too daunting a task to just like try to pick it up 40 years down 40 years from when it came out. So I get that.
Thank you. And thank you for articulating why I feel like it's too much. Yes, that's exactly it.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's helpful. I'll just regurgitate that when people ask me now.
There you go. See, I helped you out a lot. So yeah, I think I should probably stop talking about movies, but I really do love movies a lot. Music is my biggest love, but movies is like right there knocking on the door. And I'm currently rewatching the Terminator franchise of movies. Have you seen any of the Terminators?
I have a long time ago.
Okay.
But I do like Arnold.
Well, there you go. He's the best part of those movies. And I hear that, I don't know if you're probably not aware, because you're not a Terminator nerd like I am, but they are coming out with a new Terminator movie, I think in the next year, and Arnold is back in this one. Like he's been absent from the last like 2 movies. So they're bringing him back because he was one of the best parts of the whole franchise.
Wow, because he's not, this is a very ignorant question, but he's not in office in any capacity anymore, right?
Correct. I think he's just like doing the circuit of whatever famous celebrities and famous ex-politicians do. I did see that. I saw another headline today where he gave Greta Thunberg the Swedish, I think is she Norwegian or Swedish?
I think Swedish, but I'm not 100%.
So he like was letting her borrow his electric car or something. She took a picture with him, so she was near him. I don't know. I didn't read the article, but he was taking a picture with Greta. So, he's still doing things.
Nice. He's drinking White Claw and hanging out.
he's smashing White Claws and making new Terminator flicks. And Linda Hamilton is also in the new one, which she has not been in any of them since the first 2. So I personally am excited about that, but if you're not a big fan, it may not really matter to you. So I understand that.
Well, I appreciate when they preserve the integrity of the original idea. I don't like back film where it's like, oh, and we got whoever's really popular now to try and boost revenue or whatever.
Yeah, and I actually think I read that James Cameron, who directed Titanic, as well as the very first Terminator, the first 2 Terminators he did, like the last 2 movies that came out, he and I think Arnold had both like gone on record as saying that they were like so like kind of just put off and disappointed by the direction that the new people at the helm had taken the franchise that it kind of motivated them to like come out with another story to like kind of like right the ship. So
Hmm,
I'm excited to see what they've got in store for us.
a redemption. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, can I tell you something absolutely crazy that I learned today, which also goes to illustrate the difference between um, growing up in the 80s and 90s and how we listen to music and consume to music versus today. Um, are you familiar with the group Kris Kross at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Backwards
Yes.
pants, make it jump, all of that.
Yeah, yeah. So I was looking up their Wikipedia page, which by the way, I know a lot of people diss Wikipedia because, anybody can edit it and make it say whatever. That was like in the early days of Wikipedia. Now they have like they've got like an army of Wikipedia warriors who like really kind of, maintain strict vigilance on people editing pages. And so like it's not as wild wild west as it used to be. If you go onto Wikipedia page, you're probably going to be learning a lot of like strictly factual stuff, which is good. So um, but I was on Kris Kross's Wikipedia page, and they sold so that their first album that had Jump on it, it had Warm It Up, Chris. Um, they sold like 4+ million copies of that album in the United States. That was actually the first album that I ever bought. Um, but
Nice.
they also sold 100,000 VHS video singles for Jump. Just
Wow.
one song that's like 3.5 minutes, just a VHS videotape of the video. They sold 100,000 of those. How mind blowing is that?
That's crazy, but my brother and I would have bought that. I also was their first album the one with I Missed the Bus. You remember that?
Yes, excellent job, Bevin. Oh, you're impressing me a lot. That was one of their singles that was definitely on the first album, and it's such a good song.
Dude, I Missed the Bus was tight, and I would think about that when I was at the bus stop. I was like, this jam is on point and relevant right now. So I can believe that they sold those tapes because I would have been one of the kids who was begging my parents to take me to Sam Goody or whatever to buy it.
Do you remember Goody's slogan?
Ooh, no. What was it?
I think it was Goody got it. I thought that was like on the commercials. Like I think they said it like right at the end. It was like Goody got it.
I think you're right. Speaking of like old music buying nostalgia, do you remember when they would have those like 10 CDs for a penny, like flyers that would come in the mail?
Of course, I think it was Columbia House was at least one of those companies that were doing that, that were offering that.
Oh my gosh, I would just obsess. I got our family like roped into so many terrible subscriptions where we paid the penny one time and then we paid way more than a penny after that.
I think Julie has told me before that she subscribed to at least one of those at least one time, so she can probably feel your pain on that. Um, but yeah, it just blew my mind because now, I mean, first of all, it seems like it's hard to watch music videos. Like the only music videos I ever see now are if you go on YouTube and you can watch music videos because like MTV only has like reality shit, which I'm a big fan of reality TV, but like I think they've almost completely eliminated music videos, period, from their schedule.
Yeah.
But to think that like 100,000 people, including you and your brother, went out and bought a VHS video single is just like Jesus Christ. That's incredible. That's really incredible. Because today's youth are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just go on YouTube and you can watch 1,000 videos for absolute free. So
Very true. Very true. Do you have any like top five or favorite music videos?
um that's a good okay. So I do have some favorite music videos, but okay, so and I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast before, but even if I have, I'm gonna share it again. Julie knows that I repeat myself a lot, so this can not be news to her. But I have a very vivid memory. I was 16. It was like the fall or the winter of 1996. Okay,
Mhm.
and I was watching MTV. It was like maybe 10 o'clock at night. Um, watching the big TV down in the basement, and my parents had a bedroom that was in the basement. They were sleeping, so it wasn't turned up very high, but I was watching videos, and Spice Girls came on with Wannabe,
Oh.
and that was the first time I had seen that video or heard that song. So I was like, well, I was 16-year old guy, so I'm like, oh, these women are hot, cool. But then right after that, the next video was Firestarter by Prodigy. I
Oh
don't know if you
yeah.
know.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And that was the first time that I'd ever heard any Prodigy song. And it was this black and white video. And I was just like, I was completely entranced by it. And it literally changed my life, because I immediately went out, the next couple weeks, and like fucking consumed and bought every CD and single that was out there for the Prodigy. But that video is like, it's one of the best videos I've ever seen. It's really amazing. So that's probably actually my favorite video of all time. I'm just gonna call it that. So
That was really good.
do you have any favorite videos?
I don't know. The only one that was coming to mind that I have like a really vivid remembrance of was the Black Hole Sun video with like the Barbie on the barbecue, and like the plastic was like melting off of her face. And it was like pretty, I don't know, it was a weird video where people's faces were morphing for Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun.
I
Uh,
don't remember the video. I know the song, but I don't remember watching the video for that. I may have to check that out.
yeah, and these aren't like I can't conjure a favorite. I'm just getting like random images that I remember seeing on MTV. Like I also remember the No Rain video for what's that
Of
band?
course. Blind Melon, yeah.
Blind Melon with the Bumblebee girl, and she finds her people. That was
He
very
does find
uplifting.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Um Smashing Pumpkins had some great videos in the 90s.
Yes. Yep. What is it? 1979, where they're like pushing that big tire down the road or something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and they were like driving in like some fucking 70s era, muscle car, or the cars were just so much bigger back
They were. They were. Yeah, the music video is kind of a gone by era. Except, I mean, there is like an official video released on YouTube, I guess, but I don't know that kids are so obsessed. Like, for me, the radio or MTV was how I found out about new music. So,
then. Yeah.
I don't know. I used MTV to see what the artist looked like because the internet wasn't readily available.
Do you remember life before the internet?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I can't really,
Remember how horrible it was?
I was so young. Yeah, it was just so weird.
I think of I don't know if you ever played video games or not. Did you ever play video games?
Oh yeah. So I was into The Sims,
Nice.
Ski Free. That was like a really old one. Battle Tanks.
Ooh, Battle Tanks. But it was like back in the day, you'd be playing a game, and if you couldn't figure out how to get past a certain part, you unless you knew somebody who played that game and could tell you, you never progressed past that point. There was no like jump on the internet and just see a walkthrough tutorial of exactly how to go through the entire game. It's just completely different now.
Oh yeah, or like now kids can spend so much money on their parents' accounts just like buying cheats just by like pressing a button.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember my brother and I would go to the record store, and at the record store they'd sell like the NES cheat books where you could learn how to do like back B in Mortal Kombat or something, and like
Yeah, yeah.
throw a better punch or whatever. But we'd have to wait all that time, save up your allowance, go buy that magazine that tells you to do back B, and then at that point like your friends are on to a new game or something.
Right. Exactly. The knowledge was already useless to you. Oh, that's funny. So I did want to point out about ZMFestivus. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew when this is coming up, because it's coming up super soon.
It is. It's not this weekend. This 9/27 weekend. It is Saturday, October 5th, next weekend.
When does it start?
So if you're bringing gear and you want to get set up at a table, I would recommend coming at 10 a.m. just to kind of get your stuff squared away, get plugged in, make sure everything's working correctly. And then the official start, where people will start kind of milling around and checking out setups, will be 11. We'll go to about 4 o'clock, and then we kind of have to be cleaned up and out of there by 5.
Cool. And is there a cost for this?
No, it's a free event. There will be an awesome raffle where a lot of vendors are throwing in something, so you can pay a few bucks and get in on the raffle and win some cool stuff. But that's only if you choose to. Otherwise, it is a free event to you.
That sounds awesome. What were some of the things that were raffled off? Did you guys have a raffle at the first ZMFestivus?
We did. We were raffling off some of our full-size headphones, so like some of the wooden headphones that you can see on our website, ZMFheadphones.com. We also have commitments from many of the vendors that you see in the line, like JDS Labs. They're an amp and DAC company out of St. Louis. They'll be bringing some gear with them. iFi Audio, they're a global company with lots of amps and DACs. Headamp is also an amp company, and Campfire Audio makes a whole bunch of really cool IEMs. So a bunch of gear will be available for you to win.
That sounds awesome. And finally, is there food and drink at this event?
So we'll have some snacks to sustain you on this long day of listening to gear. And then afterwards, just sort of casually, if you feel like coming along capacity, we're probably all going to go out and get some food afterwards at a place called Eris in the neighborhood. But that is sort of a casual, hey, let's all get together and eat some food after this, not necessarily like a banquet that we're providing for all.
Okay, well, that's a very important distinction, so I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah.
Well, Bevin, thank you very much for being on the podcast. You were delightful, and I'm excited about ZMFestivus II coming up again just a week from Saturday. It's October 5th, and I'm excited about ZMF headphones in general. I think I'm gonna have to get my grubby mitts on some of these bad boys because they sound amazing.
Yeah, I wanna put some on your head and play some Prodigy for you. And it was really nice to meet you again. Like we met sort of casually one time, and
Sure.
thanks for having me on the podcast. And yeah, come on out to ZMF Festivus. You can email us through the website to get more details or ask your questions. ZMFheadphones.com.
Sounds awesome. Thank you again, and we will be seeing you, and everybody else should be seeing you at ZMFestivus II. It's going to be a great time. Everybody coming out, and Bevin, have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks, Kris.
Thank you. Bye.